Hello, everybody, and welcome to today's HD Chats with myself, Jess Shillingford, and Anna Rushmer. We're going to go deep into what Anna does, but to frame our conversation, I just want to talk about our topic and the value that we're going to be sharing today. So one of the great things that happens when we work in the soul map message mastery is that we really cut to the core of your story. We look at your HD in as a holistic chart and a holistic how you work holistically as an energy being, and we also look at your story and the obstacles, the challenges, the things that you've overcome that you are able to then share with others through your own journey, because that is really where the most power is when you are creating programs to serve others. Usually it's when we've overcome certain pain or problems and found solutions for them. And that's certainly how I came to work with projectors. Being a projector myself, understanding the struggle of being a projector entrepreneur and having to learn how to work differently. So today's topic is turning our pain into profit and purpose, and recognizing that some of our deepest wisdom and deepest goals of our soul comes from looking at our journey and how we can then transmute that and teach and serve and help others overcome. So Anna.
Hello.
Hi. So how did you come to design the program that you're designing for your target audience, projectors? We'll talk about your quad right audience afterwards, but let's hear about your story.
Okay. So my mastermind that I'm now that I've created is called Arise. And this has all been kind of created from that space of understanding finally that I needed to work incredibly differently to, 80% of the population, really. So that in terms of being a projector, but then also in terms of, as you say, my own life experiences, my own life lessons. So I needed to actually stop and intentionally create, after I'd worked these things out for myself, then stop and actually, intentionally create this program. So I talk about it in kind of three main content pillars. So it's embrace, embody, and expand. And the expand element is, well, they're all heavily intertwined, but the expand element is the bit that I needed to that was really brought to my attention in terms of, we're talking about sort of nervous system regulation here.
Yeah.
So nervous system regulation, but then expansion into our next level. And this is where my own kind of life story came in, my own life experiences. So we've talked before, haven't we, about, coming from that. So my own journey is coming from kind of childhood trauma. So that long-lasting trauma effect, and realizing that was still very much being held in my body, even though I thought I'd done a lot of healing. So there was that sort of element from that was probably the main flag for me, because I would sort of try and work in programs. I would work with coaches, all of whom I've enjoyed working with, but I would keep coming to this stuck and overwhelmed point. And I came to realize that it was actually because my nervous system was still very dysregulated, but also I was triggering it and re-triggering it by trying to follow everybody else's rules and strategies.
Right.
Which is our projectorness and also my quad rightness. So this is where this whole kind of the Arise Mastermind was created from, helping women basically to kind of refine and harmonize their life and their business so that it fits them, their soul, their energetics, rather than us trying to follow standard approaches or somebody else's rules, and actually making sure that life and business is harmonized and it's working for us and it's flowing for us. And also, like we've talked about, creating sustainability from that point of inner peace and having those building blocks in place, because I needed to basically kind of stop everything and come back to scratch to get those foundations really, really solid, to then kind of build my house on top of that, as it were.
So what were some of the problems that you faced having nervous system dysregulation as a projector and trying to build the business? What was the manifestation of that?
So what would happen is that I would sign a high ticket client, for example, really excited about it, really excited to be working with this person, this lady, in my previous program. But then it would be like everything then felt like it just stopped. And I'd come back to that kind of stuck space, and I couldn't understand why, when I was having interest and I was having people come to me, why all of a sudden, if I signed a high ticket in particular, for example, why everything else would then just stop. I didn't understand that at all. And I came to realize that, a lot of that was actually, for me, was about my nervous system, because it's like, actually, this is all I can take on at the moment. That's all I can hold at the moment.
That is such a wonderful point, and I really want to jump in as well and talk about my experience of this, because me too, this whole journey for me, like my ABA mastermind is Aligned Business Accelerator, and that is a slow burning, because I have the integration channel. What I create always takes time, it takes refinement. I'm a 3-line, so I'm always testing, trialing and building, right? So I've created like what I've been creating over time, and like in spurts, like a little line or whatever. So running and then stopping and creating something else, and that's part of my 53. But the point I wanted to make was beautiful that you raised that, because I hear a lot of projectors in my group, one of the main problems they have is around this consistency. Like, how do I be consistent, and how do I build a consistent income when my energy ebbs and flows? So that's one thing, and that comes up with people a lot. But the other thing, and so it's about honoring that. But so I'm seeing what you're saying, you're creating a solution and a space for people to really be able to honor themselves and create an alignment and regulate, so that they can expand properly. But the way it showed up for me was, I got loads of clients in January and February for the soul maps, and I went really, really hard because I had to produce all the stuff, and I'd reached capacity. Everything else went on the back burner. So my content creation, my creativity slowed down, and I realized, that's my capacity, and I've now learned a lesson. I can't deliver what I want to deliver to that many people at once. Like, that's so I think that's how it showed up for me. So you have to revise and create systems to be able to work in your most aligned way.
Yes, exactly that. And I needed to learn as well to not try and push myself. A lot of this has been about push and learning not to not push myself to do, to offer blah 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 blah, because this is what everybody else does. So it's very much about, again, as we've talked about, tearing up the rule book and actually just ignoring it. Not even just breaking the rules, it's just ignoring it. And that's what I found myself that I've needed to do, is just actually come back to that, right? What feels good for me, because when my energy is right going into it, that is going to create the best, the best service that I can create.
100%. And also for me with my 40, so my gene key vocation is 40.
And
I need a lot. I already know I need a lot of spaciousness. Like for me to thrive and for me to help others requires huge amounts of spaciousness.
Yeah.
And so that's been a big thing. But what else like led you to understand that you really wanted to work with projectors? What else kind of guided you to know that actually I have a solution for this group of people, being a projector myself? How does that help you to resonate with your audience?
I think because I feel that we are so different. We're like our own sort of unique tribe, aren't we? That we just have to do things so differently. And I think, you know, with all the best will in the world, people that aren't projectors aren't going to be able to relate to us and with us as much as we need to be seen and recognized. You know, I've definitely been in groups where I felt like people aren't understanding me here. Like, you know, I feel like a bit of a misfit. That's also carried on from kind of when I was younger as well, feeling that feeling. So kind of helping myself understand that, and actually, no, this is actually not the right space for me. I need to be working, you know, in a group with projectors or working one-to-one with a projector, because that for me is when somebody is really going to understand where I'm coming from, as opposed to, you know, saying things like, well, just do this. It's like, pardon? I can't just do this all the time, you know. And like you're saying about consistency, so many people talk about consistency. I've had to kind of let myself create my own consistency again, as opposed to, oh, so and so is telling me I need to do this, this, and this, right? Okay, no, because then again, I come into this space of stuck, because it's like, no, this is completely wrong for me, for my alignment, particularly my quad rightness. So actually, you know, no, I can't do it like that.
Interesting, because like part of the stuckness could be a freeze response, but then part of it is actually just your projector nature, like you, because it's your intuition. It's saying this is not in alignment. I cannot push. I cannot do, like I didn't do my thing the other day because my energy was like, it was like a no, like do not do it. Do not deliver that thing today. And it's just great having a group and community where people really understand you. So I can't celebrate enough having the Projector Success Hub and the beautiful people that are in here. So the two things that we're talking about then, it's your intuition, helping people to really tune into that decision making, and and honoring their own deconditioning or reconditioning themselves to not compare and not follow what the world is saying needs to be the way to success. What you're saying is you're able to really help projectors to follow their true north, and from that point they will be able to trust the actions that they need to take.
Exactly. Trust is, you know, has been such a massive lesson for me. And you were talking about kind of time and patience earlier, and it's like, it's allowing ourselves, isn't it? It's giving ourselves permission to run at different speeds at different times, and being okay with that. And instead of, you know, I used to really beat myself up about, oh, but so and so can do this, you know. I remember thinking this before I understood human design at all. How do these people do all these things? What's wrong with me? Why can't I do this? You know, actually giving ourselves permission to be different, as opposed to just needing to follow the mainstream or the crowd or whatever.
And I think, again, you've raised another beautiful point about how because I know many of us are finding our way to our creative contribution, and I call it creative contribution, our service work, our work in the world, and that often comes from really honoring your own difference. When you're living in your design and you're living following your intuition, you're going to have a unique perspective. Unique perspective is going to resonate with your soul family. So it's so important that you said that about the beauty of being different. and
Yes.
honoring, recognizing what is different and letting yourself live that.
And yeah, I'm really celebrating that as well. I really had to kind of come into this space of truly understanding myself, which I use human design planets to kind of deep dive into, but truly recognizing myself and then honoring that, as you say, to then be able to feel really confident in myself and what I was creating as well, and how I was serving people. And before, you know, I knew that we would get good transformations, powerful transformations, but I think there was that element of like real sort of confidence and self-belief wasn't there, because I couldn't recognize fully my own magic, my uniqueness in that process.
What strategy have you used to really recognize yourself and develop that self-belief?
So that has so I do all sorts, but in terms of kind of human design, I've really worked through the planets in particular, and really kind of dug deep into those. So looking at, you know, what my greatest expansion is, but actually how I can deeply kind of honor myself, show myself tons of self-love, you know, particularly if we've come from childhood trauma kind of phase, that can completely be non-existent. But you know, really and again, it's like putting the building blocks in place of that, so that, you know, we're kind of, well, arise but so we're rising into our true essence. So I work with the planets in human design to dig into that detail, which is what I've done and now do with my clients. But then I'm using, so I refer to myself now as a somatic healer. I work with hypnotherapy, breathwork, somatics to actually dig deep into the body and the subconscious to release, you know, to decondition at that real kind of root level as well, because that is what, when I first started my healing, that's what gave me the really powerful transformations, was going from understanding that I needed to go from talking therapies, which had helped to a certain extent, but then I needed to dig way deeper and actually get that root out.
So good. And that's why your work is so important for projectors in particular. Yeah, you could work with anyone in the world to solve their trauma, but projectors will not be magnetic if they are holding on to bitterness, if they are holding on to trauma, if we are holding on to lack of self-worth. Like, I've had to fight lack of self-worth, and I'm pretty confident. And but how does like self-worth is a really tricky little beast, because it could show up in workaholism. Hello. It can show up in perfectionism. Hello. It can show up in like codependency, you know. So it's like untangling. And so as we go on our entrepreneurial journeys as well, it's so important to pay attention to how that is showing up for you and go deeper. Like for me, one of the things I do for self-recognition work as well is tuning into, like you, it's about somatics. I'm not a somatic healer. I just know a few tricks I've worked on. That's why I'd advise projectors who, if you're doing everything right, if you're putting content out, copy, and no one's coming to invite you, you need to go to Anna or someone, because you need to do the somatic healing. You need to do that embodiment work. One of the things that I do is, like, I'll tune in and I might close my eyes and get grounded and say, I am the best magnetic messaging teacher in the planet. And tune into how that makes me feel. Is there any tension? Is there constriction? Is there expansion? So whatever it is that you are and that you want to be known for, say it to yourself, get grounded and notice where in your body there's tension or tightness. You know, that's one of the things.
Yeah, the body's incredible, isn't it? Because it will soon tell us. It will absolutely, we can, you know, communicate directly with that. I first started off and I was working with hypnotherapy alone, you know, at the very start, and that used to blow my mind enough, working with the subconscious. So, you know, adding adding the body's wisdom into that as well is incredible.
Magnificent. Really, your work is so important, so powerful, so transformational. And you know, I already know from the range of tools that you've picked up in your healing, you know, your practitioner's journey, the impact that you can have is going to be wild.
Yeah.
So, oh, before we move on to some of your quad right experience, I would love to talk about or ask you, how do you know when your magnetism is off? Apart from how do you begin to recognize what to do as a projector when you're not receiving invitations? Because you mentioned something before about pushing. That's
Good
also
question.
an open will. So
I probably feel it in my body now. Am I going to be able to explain that one? I kind of intuitively, so when I work with clients, we start to kind of understand how to tune into the body, so bringing from mind back into body and kind of listen to those cues. So I use sort of techniques to do a check-in. So how am I feeling physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually? I don't think I think about it all too much now, in all honesty. I think I just feel it in my body, and it's almost that kind of intuitive hit of stop, you know, I need to, and I think I just need to, I know what I need to do. So whether it's go for a walk in the woods, or whether it's lie down, or whether it's do a quick breath work session, or whatever it might be. As I say, when I work with clients to kind of bring this awareness in, we're obviously doing the clearing work as well, and the regulating work. But I would probably suggest as an easy kind of check-in point to do that PEMS check-in that I learned from somebody years and years ago. But to do that, okay, how do I feel physically? How do I feel emotionally? How do I feel mentally, spiritually? And giving that a score out of 10. And then if anything is kind of a 7 or below, just tuning into that. If it's emotionally, okay, you know, how am I feeling? What is it that my body needs? All of those kind of questions really to come into that being able to acknowledge it and be aware of it and actually tune in. Okay, what is it I need right now? Because that was the thing that I used to have no idea about at all, because everything was mind led. And I've got a list of, particularly when I was in corporate world, you know, I've got a list of things I need to get through them. So yeah, for me now, you know, I think I probably intuitively kind of know what I need to be doing, but as I say, with clients, I would start with that kind of bringing the awareness back in, with really simple kind of exercises like that.
So training them to start to develop awareness and become present and grounded in the body. So that
because you know, that's something that I just had no concept of whatsoever. And now looking back, sort of, I don't know, 15 years or so, I had no understanding of what my body needed. It was just constantly about pushing and keeping up and doing everything, and, you know, doing way too much as well.
Yeah. So quad right, what was the most shocking thing that you learned about being a quad right?
Oh, honestly, I remember going through my chart and thinking, right, I'm a projector, I need tons of stillness. Oh, and I'm a quad right, brilliant too. Okay. So quad right is all about being really receptive, really passive. So, you know, given all of those things, I was thinking, how on earth am I, how do I do business? How does this work with all of these kind of elements? But I think the thing was, or is, around, you know, we need to be really receptive, really passive, and not strategic, not focused. So we're actually kind of from the future as opposed to fitting in to now world, or, you know, left focused world that we're in now. So that probably was the bit that threw me the most initially, because as I say, I was just thinking, well, how do I do this then? You know, surely there needs to be some strategy, some structure, some, you know, masculine energy in there, because what do I do otherwise? You know, particularly, as I say, you know, going from corporate world, very, you know, masculine dominant, and my masculine dominant energy right the way across to the other, you know, end of the spectrum almost. It was that strategy and focus that kind of really threw me. I didn't really have any idea of how to kind of work with that initially, so that's been a huge amount of test and learn, really.
Okay, and how is it like from I'm left mind, a mixture of arrows, left and right, but I've worked with a quad right. One of my clients is quad right, and one of the pieces of advice that I give her is build a deep sense of trust in how she learns and how she absorbs information, and recognize that she doesn't have to study and overthink and, you know, do all of the planning stuff that she may have been conditioned to do, but to trust that what she needs to say, she'll be able to say when she needs to say it.
Absolutely.
So that's something that I thought was cool, like a superpower. Like, you know, like when you have ADHD, there's so many superpowers around it, actually.
Yeah.
Being super creative, being able to concentrate on what you're really interested in. I used to have ADHD, and since living as an aligned projector, I don't. So I don't know about the ADHD thing. I think
interesting. Yeah. Yeah, I understand that.
I think it's it could just be out of alignment with your actual, but then that don't kill me, you know, don't kill me. But yeah, so what I've come to understand is that they are able to absorb vast amounts of information, and then when they feel inspired, they can have creative outbursts.
Exactly that. So it's very much about allowing myself to very much be in flow, coming back to the trust. You know, it feels very similar to our projector vibes as well, in that it's very much about trusting, but it's almost like it's like taking it that one step further, it feels almost. You know, I can only ever speak from my own kind of experimentation with it, but absolutely that sharing my awareness when it's absolutely there, not when it's, but I probably need to do a video today to talk about blah blah blah. It's like really, really deeply trusting in, okay, I haven't, you know, coming back to consistency, I haven't done a video for a few days or a couple of weeks or something, right? Okay, and actually allowing myself to really trust in that process. And it is that, you know, I have always loved studying. I've always been used to taking a lot of notes, thinking that was the way to kind of get it into my head. So very much now being about being really present so that actually I can just absorb. Also, one thing that I have learned is that actually, which again I didn't realize how much of my environment you know, I'm absorbing as well. So being very careful about where I am, who I'm with, who I'm working with as well, particularly for that deeper connection.
Good. So the clients that you take on is really important as well.
Yeah.
Not just taking any client. And that's what I love about being an empowered projector, actually.
Yeah.
And obviously we have to learn and go through our journey on the way, but the more clear you are about your work, who you are, how you work, your energy, and how your energy works, what fuels you, the easier it is to decline invitations and actually align with the right ones.
Yeah.
So if there are, I can see there's one person watching. I can't see it because I'm doesn't matter. If you are a projector and you are watching this, whether on a replay or live, drop in the comments if you have overcome a specific pain or problem or obstacle, and that is the basis of one of your offers. We would love to hear. What is your wounded healer story?
Yeah.
Are you creating for a specific audience based on a unique perspective and a challenge that you've overcome? If so, what is that? Share it in the comments. We'd love to know. The second thing, any quad rights watching, any quad rights, anyone interested in posing questions for Anna or me, anything around messaging or marketing, anything around being in alignment and creating an energetic alignment and being in a mastermind where you can do deep nervous system work. Any questions for Anna, put them in the comments. So Anna is going to offer some, what are you offering?
Yeah, so I'd love to, if anybody if this, you know, really resonates, I would love to offer some alignment sessions. So I'm going to open up for alignment sessions, just complimentary alignment sessions, so that, you know, we can start to have a bit of a dig into, you know, what's happening for you at the moment, what's maybe coming up as a really kind of obvious block, and then seeing if what we could have a look at to change, to tweak, you know, to give a simple exercise to just help you kind of move to releasing that block, releasing that resistance, you know, actually, so that we can create more alignment, so that we're actually moving into that next space of feeling more harmonious, you know, and coming into our creativity more as well. You know, my life's work is all about helping people to move from stress to stillness. My 52, so I need a lot of space like you do, but actually then that, you know, opening up our creativity as well, which was another thing that I didn't realize was being blocked so much. You know, so yeah, so it's all about seeing what's going on for you at the moment, seeing what we can work with to kind of release that, whatever is blocking our focus, our creativity at the moment.
So unwinding, that is, you know, to take her up on that, guys, you know, reach out. They can DM you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
DM, you can post questions in the comments. I've had a brainwave, but I want to ask Anna first before I announce or put her on the spot. And I think that's really it. So what are the key takeaways that we've got? We've got the power of choosing to solve a problem that you've overcome and serve an audience that you can identify with is really powerful, an audience that you can resonate with. And that is a really beautiful and powerful way of doing some of your creative contribution in the world.
Yeah.
If you are lacking magnetism, if you're not getting clients, if you're doing all the right things, really it's time to look at doing some deconditioning and doing some deep nervous system regulation work.
Yeah.
If you are quad right, definitely reach out to Anna, because she's got some high level one-to-one spots available to do some deeper alignment with you around how to operate and how to thrive with that. What else did we say? We're looking also at, I can't remember if there's anything else.
I think that's probably it, isn't it? The other sort of bits that I wrote down were really being able to recognize ourselves and kind of embracing that, so that we can really trust in our own timing, our own needs, you know, rather than following the various rules.
Yeah, so there are two people watching. I'm just going to look on my phone and see if there is a question while we're on air, and if not, we can pick it up afterwards. My phone, I don't get any notifications.
No, mine.
Oh, okay, here we go. So we have Stephanie. Stephanie says, oh, Stephanie, I'm not sure of what the what the context was for this, but you're saying raising generator children as a 3-4 right splenic projector, 5 generator kids.
Wow.
Yeah, I know, it's amazing. It's actually amazing. If there is any context for that though, because I can't remember what we were saying for you to say that. Anything else? Let me just check. We've got Carmen. Hello, beautiful Carmen. We love you. Okay, so I think that's really it for our chat. So if anyone wants to reach out to Anna for her alignment sessions, the complimentary ones, reach out to her DM. If you want to deep dive into your story and your messaging and your marketing, come to me for your soul map sessions. And that's it, I think. And yeah, just more love, more peace, more flow. Enjoy the energies that are happening right now. And thank you so much for coming on and sharing your work and
Thank you.
bits of your story with us.
Yeah, thank you. I've loved it.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to just turn off the recording.